We've gone over the things that Security Breach could have done better, but that doesn't mean the game is bad. In all honesty, the game is pretty good when you ignore the glitches. So, we're going to praise the game for some of its best moments and references, because that's what we're exploring today. Let's do it. And it's 10 Moondrop Daycare. Moondrop Daycare is one of the scariest parts, but also one of the coolest parts of this entire game. While it may be one of the first things you do, feeling helpless in the dark, desperate to turn on the generators is something that this series is really good at. This section is also difficult if you don't know exactly where to go. And honestly, if I was to do this again, I still wouldn't really know what I was doing. I know where like 2 of the generators are and that 4 out of 5 of them are on the right play structure, but other than that, I'm just running around willy-nilly trying to find it. It's certainly easier when you realize that Moondrop can't really get you when you're running around inside the play structure usually though, but it's also annoying that he can grab you from outside when you're inside the slides. But overall, still a great section. And at 9, Vanny introduction. While Vanny might have been not as prominently featured as we would have wanted in this game, errors like that in this series' first free roam game are to be expected. But the actual introduction of the character, when she walks past you in the charging station, is definitely a cool way to introduce a character and instantly clue us into there being something more going on here than we realize, since our screen glitches out, and at the time we think that it's presumably because we're inside Freddy. And then when it comes back, Freddy has no idea what we're talking about when we ask who the hell that bunny lady was. He tells us that we're looking at a fountain and that there's no rabbits here anymore, referencing Bonnie. And then the Vanny conversation just kinda dies. And the next time we see her is when we're caught by Vanessa, when we have to escape the security office before Vanny can get to us. But either way, there could have been more of her, but the times they did use her, they did it well. And at 8, FNAF 1. Going the way that I did in the beginning, which was going towards the bottom of the Pizzaplex through the vent in order to escape instead of going through L chips, will end up putting you in a FNAF 1 style situation where you're in a security office that's made to look like what FNAF 1's office. The office will go on lockdown, giving it limited power, and your job is to watch the cameras on your watch so you can close the proper door when either Roxy or Monty is coming at it. But I think the coolest part of this is just that it's entirely a reference to FNAF 1. I mean, it's certainly more difficult than FNAF 1, having to run to the other side of the room in like a second if you want to be able to close the other door in time, but nevertheless, it's definitely one of the cooler Easter eggs or moments in Security Breach. Plus, I'm pretty sure the time you have to wait for Freddy to reboot it is the same amount of time that a night is in FNAF 1. And at 7, Gregory, sus. The meme of Gregory needing to vent when he's locked in one of the security rooms is certainly entertaining, but I think that the gameplay of this section is one of the highlights of the game. The fact that you need to defend these doors from Roxy and Monty while also escorting Freddy through the various doors so that he can get to the vent beneath you is interesting, and it can take a while to realize that's what you're actually supposed to be doing with Freddy. Since for a period of time, I was just yelling at my screen asking where Freddy was. But once I got the hang of pressing the buttons on the interior monitors when Freddy says that he's there, I was able to do it pretty swiftly. And if you know about this from the start, you probably don't really need to defend the other doors, since you can seemingly get Freddy through all the doors and under the vent before one of the 4 doors fails. And at 6, Pizza Bot. One of the most interesting things to me was the Pizza Bot mini game, when you choose to go to the bottom of the Pizzaplex through the vent and try to escape the Pizzaplex that way instead of going through L chips and the prize counter. Because at that point, you end up getting into a security office where Chica is outside the only working door. So you have to make a pizza using one of the pizza chef bots to lure her away from the door. And this is actually a really cool look into the Fazbear Kitchen and how it operates now, with service bots kind of taking up positions of people because, you know, they can be unpaid. But I'm also guessing that they're more reliable not to kill people than, you know, humans. The funniest part about this to me was when I got stuck in the sauce machine and I was like, oh no, step chica. That's a story for another day. The fact that they dispense all the parts of the pizza onto the pizza through basically modified soda ice machines is also an interesting idea, because, you know, they're robots and they can't really make it by hand. I wonder how realistic that would be. And at 5, Music Man Chase. The Music Man Chase scene and the whole section that came before it with having to reboot the West Arcade is actually one of the coolest sections in the entire series. Not only does it provide the second Princess Quest arcade machine, but we also get to run through the hall with an obstacle course that's being made right in front of us. There are various different paths that you can choose as well, as long as you're paying attention. At one point you can jump over a fallen shelf or run to the left and go around it, although that usually takes a bit longer, and I actually managed to do this on my first try. I was so far ahead that some of the obstacles didn't even fall in front of me and I didn't realize that's what this section was. But somehow Music Man still ended up catching me right before I got into the security office, which made me absolutely furious. The complete BS of that moment aside, the next time I tried it, I ended up getting it right, so I think it's safe to say that the Music Man Chase is pretty damn cool. And I mean like the giant Music Man spider, or DJ Music Man if you're lame, not like the tiny Music Man when he chases you in the vents. And at 4, Boss Battles. battles. While most boss battles weren't actually boss battles, with the exception of Monty, who felt pretty boss-like, the concepts of dismantling these animatronics was actually very interesting. Now, I do wish that these animatronics were actually decommissioned when we destroyed them, since it would make the post-game gift collection a lot easier, especially when you know you can't save. But the fact that they're somehow able to get back from the various instances that we left them in is pretty concerning. Like, how does Chica get back from being trapped underground when we can hardly make it across those boards? And how is Roxy able to make her way back to the main area after we take her eyes and she's blind? How is Monty able to crawl back from the depths of hell after we destroy him? I wish that they had actually been taken off of the board, but I get why they weren't. However, the actual ability to have animatronic boss battles is cool. And now I expect the next FNAF game to contain like Dark Souls style combat because of this. Getting close to the end in number 3, True Ending. The true ending of Security Breach is probably split between the best and worst moments, depending on the person. But in my opinion, it's both. While yes, this game does have its flaws, we talked about them in yesterday's video actually, the true ending still has some incredible moments. The cinematic instead of a simple comic strip is certainly a plus, and I'm sure that plenty of people loved the return of William Afton as Springtrap, the first appearance of the character that is actually an animatronic. But for me, the highlight was just the sheer obscurity of the ending. How not everything is clear, and how the series can go in any direction now. Like how this next Spider-Man MCU trilogy can really go anywhere. And while that ending did break my heart, it set up the next 3 movies perfectly. That's what this ending does. It sets up the next part of the series amazingly. We can have William as the antagonist, or Vanny, or the Blob. We know that Gregory and William are together so they can move forward with the whole Michael crying child parallel or move away from it. They can make these characters robots or actual kids. They can do whatever. And that's pretty cool. Penultimately in number 2, Phaser Blast. Actually getting to experience Phaser Blast was something I found incredibly rewarding. It's one of the things that I wanted the most out of this game, and luckily it happened. I was looking through the achievements for the game, and it seems like you can also, I guess, play golf in the Monty area, but I have yet to see anyone do it. But that achievement could also just be for finding all the secrets in the Monty golf area, I'm not sure. But playing laser tag in FNAF was probably one of the best moments in the entire series for me, especially given the pandemic and the fact that I haven't been able to play laser tag ever since I started wearing suits. So the fact that I was able to sort of play through it in FNAF was a highlight of 2021 for me. Plus, FNAF vids do well on basically any channel. So, absolutely a best security breach moment in my opinion. If you don't agree, oh well, that's fine, but it's my list. And finally, in number 1, the best ending. The best ending for the game is obviously the best moment in the game, since it serves as the best outcome. The best ending is where we, as Gregory, are able to free Vanny by playing through the various Princess Quest games and beating Princess Quest 3, which is only available through the Vanny ending, which you get by playing Phaser Blast. But this time around, instead of pressing the button, you can end up playing Princess Quest 3, and by beating it, we unlock the room that we were sealed inside in Help Wanted, and free Vanessa from Afton's control, allowing us to go get ice cream with her and Glamrock Freddy's head, since at this point he had also been disassembled by Vanny. And 3 of the main characters sitting on a hill eating ice cream is probably the best ending we've ever gotten to a FNAF game, especially considering how in none of these endings does Freddy betray us, something which I thought was inevitable when the game was coming out. I thought that we were bound to be betrayed by Freddy and that he would end up crushing us and that would be the end of the game. And while he can betray you if Afton ends up taking over him in the true ending, at least we know that it was never Freddy who actually does it. And even when he's just ahead, he still wants to hang out with his old pal Gregory, and for some reason Vanessa. Still don't get that. And that's all the time we have for today, friends. Thank you all so much for watching. I have been, and shall remain Connor Monroe, and I'll see you in another video.